Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to another week. And it's been a crazy weekend so far when Donald Trump decided with Israel to go to Iran and declare war on them. And this is Venezuela all over again when in the middle of the night he goes and starts this war. He did the same thing with Venezuela where he invaded them to take out Maduro and basically kidnap him or bring him home, depending on your version of events. And yet again, we have here MAGA saying the same damn thing. They like, but I'm going to go back and say a president cannot declare war. They can only suggest it. Congress is the only one. Congress is the only one that could declare war. And you have all these MAGites who are in the cult saying, well, Obama didn't need it. Biden didn't need it. Bush didn't need it. So why would Trump actually need it? But here's the thing. I have the answer for you. But Magites, they can't give you the answer. When they ask you to prove it, they're saying it's in the Constitution. I said, yes, I know it's in the Constitution. I just quoted him. In fact, not only is it in the Constitution, they're leaving out a specific point here. Presidents, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is what happened. Presidents often bypass direct congressional approval for Middle East military actions by citing their Article II commander-in-chief powers to defend national interests. They rely on broad interpretations of self-defense. The 1973 War Powers Resolution, allowing 60 days of action and existing authorizations, otherwise known as the AUMFs, to justify rapid targeted strikes without a formal war declaration. Key justifications and precedents used by presidents include Article II authority. Presidents argue the Constitution empowers them to deploy force to protect U.S. national security and interests abroad without prior congressional approval. The War Powers Resolution of 1973, which allows the presidents to deploy troops for 60 to 90 days without explicit authorization, a clause many administrations have used or ignored to justify immediate action. Broad interpretation of AUMF. Following 9/11, authorization for use of military force, which is the AUMF, legislation has been broadly interpreted to cover various counterterrorism strikes in the Middle East. Operational definitions. Administrations argue that targeted strikes such as drone attacks or killing specific leaders, for instance, Qasem Soleimani, do not constitute a full war requiring formal congressional declaration. But since 1973, presidents from both parties, Reagan, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden, have used this authority to initiate actions in the Balkans, Libya, Pakistan, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. While Congress does indeed hold the power to declare war, these legal interpretations and precedents allow the executive branch to initiate military engagement, relying on the argument that fast action is necessary for national safety. And if you look at the National Constitution Center, does the president need the Congress approval? Since 1973, most presidents have ignored parts or all of the War Powers Resolution. According to the Congressional Research Service, presidents have taken a broader view of the commander-in-chief power to use military forces abroad. They have variously asserted sources of authority in other statutes that do not specifically cite the WPR. Additionally, they have relied on the commander-in-chief power itself and the president's foreign affairs authority under the Article II of the Constitution. However, Congress has passed authorization for the use of military force that gave the president the ability to take limited defined military acts. John Adams was the first president to receive that from Congress in 1798 during the quasi-war with France. Several AUMFs have remained in place from recent conflicts, and presidents have cited them supporting military actions. The AUMF of 1991 gave the president the ability to act against Iraq to enforce United Nations resolutions. Similarly, the AUMF of 2002 stated the president is authorized to use the armed forces of the United States as he determines to be necessary and appropriate in order to defend the national security of the United States against the continuing threat posed by Iraq. In 2011, President Barack Obama ordered a military intervention in Libya without asking for congressional approval. Okay. However, forces were engaged there for about 8 months as the Obama administration argued that its military presence didn't fall under the War Powers Resolution. In 2013, President Obama did take the unusual step of asking Congress to approve intervention in the Syrian civil war after he initially indicated he has the constitutional powers to order limited military strikes without its approval. Congress then deferred to act in Syria. At the time, the Obama administration argued that it didn't need congressional authorization of the 2002 AUMF. In 2017, Trump ordered missile strikes against Syria after a chemical warfare attack, and supporters, including Mitch McConnell, felt it was permissible. The Trump administration argued the attacks were allowed under the president's Article 2 powers to protect the national security and foreign policy interests of the United States. Also, in 2020, Trump cited the 2002 AUMF as supporting his decision to order a fatal drone strike against Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, the leader of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corporation, otherwise known as the IRGC. In recent years, President Biden also cited the AUMF 2002 and the same Article 2 powers asserted by the first Trump administration in taking military actions against Iran-backed militant groups in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and the Red Sea. The Biden administration filed reports within 48 hours about its actions to Congress, as required by the War Powers Resolution, with the caveat the president was acting to protect the United States citizens both at home and abroad, and in furtherance of the United States national security and foreign policy interests pursuant to my constitutional authority as Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive and to conduct United States foreign relations. So, okay, I'm going to give MAGA this one, but only this one. However, that being said, they all did tell Congress what they were doing, and they were, per the war powers, writing detailed reports as to why they felt it had to be done. So, however, they also did address the nation on why it was done. So, so the question now comes to: Did was Trump's attack in Iran legal? Well, according to the New York Times, according to the New York Times, and according to the administration, it says that this mission was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel. The question is, didn't Trump say that he destroyed the nuclear plants that were in Iran months ago? Didn't he say that? Because it contradicted what experts said, which is he didn't destroy them, he just damaged them with Iran to rebuild them, right? So if you claim you destroyed all the nuclear facilities, then how can there be a threat? Then how can there be a nuclear threat to the rest of the world? Which basically means you lied to the American people by saying, we got them. We destroyed all the nuclear facilities, and they cannot, and it's going to take them years and years to rebuild again. And now you're saying you're going in there because, and now you're saying in there because they posed a threat with our nuclear program. So you're contradicting yourself, really, and you're lying to the American people because was it not you who went on national excuse me, was it not you who went on national television telling the world and telling America they no longer have nuclear weapons because we destroyed the facilities? And the experts came, no, Mr. President, you did not destroy them. You just damaged them and they can rebuild it. And and Trump said, nope, it's destroyed. My intelligence is correct. It was destroyed. Well, okay. So now you're going in there and saying we're bombing Iran to destroy their nuclear facilities because it's a matter of national security and interest. So what? You magically just found another plant? You magically just found another weapons facility where building nuclear weapons. Months later, you magically just found them because if you damaged them, right? Months ago, you claimed that you told the world, Iran's nuclear weapons facilities, their power plants are no more. We damaged them. Mission success. They are no longer a threat to us. Great. Problem solved. Then why are we going back in there? You want, okay, if this was about the regime change, okay, but you killed the leader, you killed the successor, you killed other people, and then you say as a leader, the casualties of loss are going to be inevitable, but we have to do this war for as long as it takes. But there was no, but no one was provoked. This wasn't provoked. They didn't come in here and say, so what exactly is going on here? And this certain bomb, three nuclear sites, has prominent accusations that he violated the Constitution by carrying out an act of war without authorization of Congress. The dispute on this caused a split between the apparent intent of the Constitution and how the country has been governed. While most legal scholars agree that the founders wanted Congress to decide whether to go to war unless the country is under attack, presidents in modern era have carried out military strikes without authorization. Courts have shied from weighing on this, and Congress has acquiesced. Was the Iran strike constitutional? Jack Goldsmith, a Harvard law professor and former senior Justice Department official in the George W. Bush administration, said on Monday, I don't know because the constitutional law of war powers is inscrutable. So what happened was Trump ordered the American military to bomb Iranian nuclear sites without seeking congressional authorization or claiming there was evidence of any imminent threat. Threatening further escalation, Trump has warned Iran that he will respond with more bombings if it strikes back, which they already did. And that's all Trump knows how to do: threaten, bully, and intimidation. And nobody responds well to threats. Nobody responds well to bullying. And certainly nobody appreciates being intimidated. And you don't think they're going to strike back? You attack them. We attacked them. They didn't attack us. There was no credible threat of them sending a bomb our way or even Israel's way. There was no credible threat whatsoever. So Trump is saying we're going to attack you more if you attempt to strike back. So what this will do? Sit back and go, yeah, we're being bombed. Sure, no problem, but we don't want to. But we're not going to strike back because hey, we don't want it worse. So we're going to strike back. You don't think they should defend themselves? You don't think if they should defend themselves? They already attacked bases, American bases in the Middle East, in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. And Trump is going on saying they haven't seen our full wrath yet, and we're going to give them our full wrath. But what the hell is this war about? Does anybody know in America what this war is about? Because it's certainly not about nuclear weapons, because he claimed he destroyed them months ago. He came and addressed the nation and said, we have destroyed the nuclear weapons in Iran. But the expert says, no, you didn't, sir. They were only damaged and they can rebuild them. And Trump said, no, you're wrong. They were destroyed. So if this is not about nuclear, so if you destroyed the nuclear weapons and now you're saying we're going in there to destroy it, how can you destroy something that's already been destroyed? And how come nobody knew about this? And why did you do it in the middle of the night? Why didn't you warn the American people? And by the way, let me ask you a question here. Okay, Trump said he's going to end all wars, right? He's the president of peace, and he's going to make prices go lower. Okay, well if you're the president of peace and you're going to end wars, so why are you starting them? And if you're lowering prices, this isn't going to lower the prices of oil. This is going to make oil go sky high through the roof because we're getting our oil from the Middle East, right? And when you have supply and demand, When the demand is higher than what the supply is, money's going to go up to the roof. That's economics 101. And you're and taxpayers are paying for this. And they took a poll, and only 27% of Americans approve of this invasion of Iran. Only 27% approve it. There are 1.2 billion Americans in America, and only 27% approve of this war. Think about that. 27% only approve of it. And yes, you could tell me that Obama did it and Biden did it, and yes, they did it, as I proved. But with Obama, you had ISIS, and that was a real threat. That was a real threat. And you notice ISIS might still be around, but they're not as big as they used to be. They're not as popular anymore. But Obama addressed the nation about it and explained his actions. And when Osama bin Laden was killed, they actually showed footage of it to prove that he was dead. And Obama came out and spoke to the nation and said, "We got him," and explained what he was able to explain to the nation and saying why he did what he did. Has Trump done that? No. All he's saying is they haven't seen our wrath yet, and we're going to do it. And while a lot of readings are praising that the Ayatollah is dead, there are others who are the opposite. And what Trump doesn't realize, and he's too stupid to realize, is that everything has a chain reaction of consequences. And you don't think that people living here now are going to retaliate. You have Iranians that are living in the United States. What do you think is going to happen to them? How do you think they're going to treat us now? Because just because you have Iranians that live here doesn't mean they don't have family members back home. And listen, Netanyahu, I lost all respect for him. Okay, I used to think Netanyahu was a very smart person, and I used to admire him as a leader and as a prime minister. But he got sucked into the Donald Trump trap, and because he got sucked into the Donald Trump trap, I lost all respect for him, and he's now become a warmonger like Trump has. And innocent people in Israel are dying simply because of the attacks. And Iran is closer to Israel than America is. So where was the threat? I'd like to know, because there was no imminent threat. And after Iran launched missiles on Monday at the U.S. bases in Qatar, Trump said Iran had given advanced warning and there were no injuries. Critics are accusing Trump of violating the Constitution. For example, Senator Tim Kaine, who said on Fox News Sunday, it's unconstitutional for a president to initiate a war like this without Congress. And as usual, Republicans have generally been supportive or silent, though Thomas Massie wrote on social media, "This is not constitutional." Mr. Trump responded fiercely, saying he will back a primary challenge to Mr. Massie, a clear warning to other Republicans who may be considering criticizing his move. Well, the joke's on Trump, because Massie already said he's retiring, so the joke's on Trump. But here's the thing. Trump is using threats and intimidation with Republicans, saying, if you don't go the way I want you to, you can kiss your political career goodbye, and I'm going to endorse somebody else. But here's the thing. A president doesn't control Congress either. And the president, and remember how I keep saying anything that Trump touches dies? Well, if you notice, everybody he's endorsed has lost, okay? Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey lost the election, okay? In New Jersey. In Virginia, a Democrat won for governor. You get Trump's endorsement, you're not going to win your election. Look in Texas, they're about to turn blue. You have two Democrats there running for Senate. Jasmine Crockett and James Tellerico, who, because of Trump's FCC, became a household name overnight. And they're both Democrats, and Jasmine Crockett is in the lead to become a senator. And she's currently a member of the House. Okay? Trump doesn't realize that he is losing the battle. Now, my theory on this is that he went into Iran as a distraction from the Epstein files and to deflect, because this way people will talk about this. And Trump also said that there's a whole outline on this thing to declare a national emergency to cancel the elections. And he can use the Iran war, prolong it for as many months as he deems, so that he can say national emergency, so elections are canceled. Except for one tiny little problem. That wouldn't be considered a national emergency, number one. Number two, elections by law need to take place. By law. It's in the Constitution that you cannot cancel elections for any reason. Can you postpone them? Yes, but you cannot cancel them. And you cannot nationalize them either, unless you physically change the Constitution, which is something Congress is not about to do, and neither are states. Because it's not just Congress that has to approve the changes in the Constitution. It's states that have to do it too. And neither red or blue states have any desire to change what doesn't need to be changed. In fact, the Constitution specifically says that the states run the elections, not the federal government, and that's by design. Okay? The states, as I said in my previous podcast, states set the rules and regulations for voting laws. Okay? So with voter ID and all of these laws already exist. They exist in one form or another through the United States Constitution. And they've been existing for years. All this SAVE Act bullshit is Donald Trump deflecting? Is Donald Trump trying to change something that isn't broken, trying to make a law that already exists, all because of his delusions of an election that happened 60 years ago that he truly believes he won? And nothing he says or does is going to change the results of that. And he's still toying with the I'm going to run for a third term scheme, which is legally impossible, no matter how you try. And I'd like to see any Republican who decides in 28 that they're not going to run against Donald Trump. I'd like to see any Republican dumb enough to actually say that. Because if that's the case, then we got a problem. Because any Republican should know if they're running for president and they're saying, well, we're not going to run in 28 because we don't want to run against Trump, then you have no qualifications to be the president, because you can't run against Trump, because Trump cannot run again no matter what anybody says. So Steve Bannon is saying we have ways of doing it, and Trump is saying we have ways of doing it, and the wheels are in motion. Good. There's no way around it. There's 3 different amendments in the Constitution that would prevent you from doing it. The 12th Amendment, the 22nd Amendment, and the 25th Amendment. So no matter how you look at it, our founding fathers knew, and they thought of everything. So all of these MAGites and all these people can say whatever the hell they want about Trump running for a third term. It is not going to happen. Doesn't matter. You cannot make up some bullshit emergency simply to steal the election, simply to cancel elections. You cannot say that. And let's just say I'm wrong about Iran. But what would be the national emergency? That we have an election crisis? There is no election crisis, though. That's the thing. And people are believing this. I I went to a thing over the weekend. I went to a thing over the weekend that had to do with a lot of MAGA, and I was listening to something, and they had a room in MAGA, and people were asking, and somebody brought up a thing about Trump. They're like, "How are you all supporting a convicted felon and a pedophile?" And I now backing up there, somebody asked me why did I go to something like this? Because you have to go to understand people's mentality. If you don't go to these things, you don't understand people's mentality. And this is why, and this is going to prove to me, this is going to prove why Trump said he loves the uneducated. And I'll tell you in a second. And I said, hey, this is why Trump loves the uneducated. Okay. So somebody went over to MAGA and said, tell me something. Why do you support a pedophile and a convicted felon or a rapist? And he said this to the person who goes, well, you supported Joe Biden and he was seen with little kids. So why did you support Joe Biden? Again, always comes back to Biden. And it was, well, Biden wasn't a pedophile, but the pictures were seen with little kids. They were sitting on his lap. Like, so the host was saying, yes, but kids sit on Santa's lap too. Does that make Santa a pedophile? They're like, Santa is Santa. Santa's there because he gives gifts to the kids. I'm like, okay. So the host goes, but he's a convicted felon and he's a rapist. So why is he? And so why you support a convicted felon? He goes, there's no proof that he was a felon. There's no proof. So who gave the 34 counts? The Democrats, because they hate Trump. They hate Trump. So they gave him. So they magically made up 34 counts. I said, well, if that's the case, why 34? Why not 36? Why not 50? Why not 10? Why 34? Like, I don't know. You should ask Joe Biden. He convicted. He's the one who picked the jury. And so the host was saying, Joe Biden picked a Democratic jury, and the jury convicted him because they were paid because Joe Biden told them to. Is that what you're saying? He's like, yeah. So the host was saying to the person, do you know how a jury? Have you ever served on a jury? And if so, do you know how they get picked? Because well, the judge had Trump deranged syndrome, and that's why he convicted. I said, the jury convicted Donald Trump. He goes, well, there's no proof. And another person says, Donald Trump isn't a racist. Donald Trump is the greatest president he can ever imagine because he. So the host goes, okay, name me 5 things that Donald Trump did that is way better than what Joe Biden did or President Obama did. Name 5. And they're like, well, he closed the borders. Well, the borders are already closed. Name another one. He gets voter ID. He's getting the voter ID laws. He's making sure people vote for ID with voter laws. He goes, that's already a law. Next. Like, he's making America great. How's making America great? Well, you should know, just like I know. But I'm asking you the question. Well, he's making America great. That's all you have to know. But how's making America great? He got my eggs lowered. He got my gas. My gas is low. Really? He goes, how much you paying for eggs in your store? I don't know. Every time I go, the price is different. Ballpark. How much you paying for eggs? My eggs, it's the lowest I've ever paid. How much did you pay for eggs last time you bought it? Under Biden, I'm not asking you about Joe Biden. How much were the eggs, and how much is your gas? My gas is $1.50 per gallon. $1.50 per gallon. Because I said, where is that? It was where I live. I said, you live in New Jersey, and in New Jersey, gas is not $1.50 a gallon. He goes, you're lying. He goes, I'm not lying because I live in New Jersey too, and I'm paying $3.75 a gallon for gas. So. Because well, you have to know where to go in New Jersey to get the gas at $1.50 a gallon. He's like, are you sure about that? He goes, yeah. I said, do you want to tell me about it? He goes, No, I don't want a title because then everyone's going to come there and it's my own personal gas guy and he gives me $1.50 a gallon. I said, okay, how much you paying for gas? How much you paying for eggs? Eggs? Oh, I pay, depending on the type of eggs I get, then when I go, give me a ballpark figure. He's like, I'm paying $2.25 per dozen eggs. I said, how much you paying for your chickens and how you made meat? My chicken is $18 a pound. And how much are you paying under Biden? I was paying more or less the same. I said, so how is he getting the price down low for you? Goes, well, it takes time. It takes over a year. Goes, Donald Trump is a smart man. He has other things he's doing. I said, do you agree that taking away people's snaps and medical, do you agree that that's a good thing? Goes, well, they should be working. How do you think you get food stamps? People are stealing from the government. That's why they took it away. And you have to prove your work. I said, really now? Okay. I'll tell you what. My brother's on food stamps. How do you think they decide who gets food stamps? And I goes, you pay a Democrat and they give it to you. Like, no, try again. Like, it doesn't matter more because Donald Trump got rid of it. And I said, but are you happy that he got rid of everyone's medical insurance? He goes, what medical insurance? I have insurance. I said, for now. But what are you going to do when he takes it off? Are you going to go on what kind of medical plan are you going to have? Because Trump's medical plan. What medical plan do you have? What's Trump's medical plan? I go, he said he has a concept of a plan. The host goes to the MAGA guy, and what's the concept of a plan? He goes, just go to Trump's website, and you'll see it. Why would it be on Trump's website? Wouldn't he announce it publicly? Well, he doesn't want people to know about it because it's only a concept. So until he's ready, he doesn't want people to see it. They're like, he said he had a concept of a plan during the debates. Within that time frame, he had the entire time to make that concept a reality. What is the reality? Oh, well, he has Trump RX. I said, oh, so now he has Trump RX. Okay. How does Trump RX work? You get the drugs from Trump. You get drugs from Trump. I said, where are the drugs coming from? He goes, well, it's part of his concept. It's not completed yet. And I'm watching this whole thing, and we're all watching this in the audience, and we're all like looking at each other like, is this guy for real? We're talking about the MAGA guy. Is he for real? So the host continues going. I said, so Trump RX, do you consider Trump RX to be Trump's medical plan? And he goes, yes, and everybody should get into it. I'm like, do you even know what it is? No, I don't know. Like, it was, yes, it's Trump's RX plan. I'm like, yeah, but what is it? He goes, I buy drugs. You buy drugs from TrumpRx.com. Okay, but what is that plan? Why would I go there when I can get a prescription from my doctor and go to my local CVS or my Walgreens or whatever drugstore I go to? Because if you're an American, you go to Trump RX. And Nose goes, I don't know what that means. Do you want to explain it? It means Trump RX is you're getting the prescriptions from Trump. I said, but they're the same prescriptions I would get from CVS. Well, the same prescriptions my doctor's prescribing from me. So why would I go for Trump RX? Because they're lower. I said, really? How do you know that? Because that's what Trump said. He said he got it down by 1,500%. So there, I said, so the host goes, okay, except for one problem. You can't have anything past 100%. By saying it's 1,500%, you're essentially saying I can get the drugs for free, which means I can go into my CVS, start stealing drugs, and if they arrest me, I can say, what do you mean? Trump told me I can have it for free. He got it on 1,500%, which basically means it's free. He goes, that's not what Trump meant. He goes, then what do you mean? He goes, well, he said he got it down. He said he did something that all the president done. He got it down for 1,500%. The host is questioning, but what does that mean? He goes, well, it doesn't matter. Trump is a genius. He did something that no other president was willing or able to do, and therefore you need to support him. And the host says, goodbye. Okay. Next person on there is saying to Trump, he says, why do you support Trump? Because Trump is a great person. The host goes, what makes Trump a great person? Well, he closed the borders and he let the aliens disappear He goes, "What's so great about them?" He puts them in a he locked them away. He goes in prison. He goes, "What prison?" "Alligator Alcatraz." I'm like, "Are you okay with that?" He goes, "Yes, because now they're safe and they can't do any harm." What about? But do you know that the people who are in Alligator Alcatraz are people who haven't committed a crime? And MAGA goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Okay, how do you know they did commit a crime?" "Well, then why else are they in prison?" I said, "Because Donald Trump is a racist?" He goes, "No, he's not. Trump isn't a racist. He said he loves everybody. He said he loves Jews, he loves blacks, he loves." I said, "Yeah, no, he doesn't. Trump, no, he doesn't. Because if Trump loved blacks, he wouldn't have called countries a shithole country 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or 6 years ago." He goes, "Trump never said such a thing. He wouldn't call countries a shithole." The host goes and plays it. And the host goes and plays the video to say that he did. And he's saying, "Oh, no, 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 that's not Trump. That's AI. That's someone that the video is manipulated. Trump would never say it because Trump said he loves everybody. He loves everybody, and he's not a racist person." And the host goes, "Okay, if that's the case, then why is he only letting white people from South Africa into this country? Why not the black people?" It's like, because there's no, because so that, and I swear to God, this person actually said the following: "Because there are no black people in South Africa." I said, "Are you for real?" He says, "Have you ever seen a black person in South Africa?" And the host goes, "You ever heard of apartheid? You ever heard of apartheid?" And it was at this point I asked a question, and I said, "Have you been to South Africa, sir?" Because I have. My tour guide was black. Okay. When I went to the grocery store, the owner was black. Okay. My diver that I went down to dive with was black. So if there are no black people in South Africa, where'd they go? Then how'd they get the black people? They go, "Well, you heard Donald Trump. They're committing genocide and they killed black people." And I went with the host and I said, "That was made up by Donald Trump." He goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Are you calling the president of South Africa a liar? Are you saying that the president of Africa doesn't know his own country and Donald Trump knows what's going on over there when Donald Trump has never been to South Africa a day in his life?" He goes, "Well, why would Donald Trump lie?" I said, I said, "You're supporting a racist." I said, "Donald Trump isn't a racist." I said, "Donald Trump isn't a racist." I said, "Okay, so why would Donald Trump call for the death penalty of 5 black boys in Central Park when he heard what happened that night, that a girl was raped by a black person?" Why would he automatically take out a full-page ad in the New York Post or whatever paper it was and call for their death penalty on 5 black boys he never met in a day in his life, never heard about, never spoke to, but called them for the death penalty? And the MAGA guy says, "Oh, please, you Democrats keep making up this bullshit story simply because you have Trump deranged syndrome." And the host pulls up a Google and says, "Nope, here it is." And I go, "And I'm telling you for a fact this happened because I was in the movie. I was in that Netflix limited series, and I met one of the boys. So if it didn't happen," my point of this entire thing, by the way, is that everybody says that Trump is the greatest president ever, which is an insult to George Washington. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. And I gotta say that ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, it's become nothing but a hotbed of propaganda, conspiracy theory, MAGA, left, right-wing lunatics, and everything like that. All of these bots. In fact, I just opened up Twitter right now, And James Wood said this. Do you remember actor James Wood? He's a has-been right now. He doesn't do any work anymore. He says Donald Trump has been abused, degraded, lied about, and undermined from the moment that he took office. He stands for this country. He stands for every American and has stood like a lion against a pack of jackals for 4 years. God bless Trump. And someone wrote, actor James Wood is speaking the truth that every patriot knows. See, this is a lie. Okay? If anything, this is the opposite. Donald Trump abuses people, he degrades them, he lies about them, makes shit up about them, undermines his own cabinet. He's not against he's against America, and he is all and he's everything that people hate. And this is the problem. So many people, for whatever reason, got brainwashed. And they think that anything that Trump does is great. But they can never give you a single proof of evidence to back up what they say. And I get the same arguments when I post a story to my Facebook that's a negative comment. I keep getting the same person messaging me, telling me how I'm wrong and how facts matter. And I say, prove me wrong. Goodbye. See ya. Then why are you messaging me every single time? Why are you messaging me with the same fucking responses, telling me I am wrong, but then when I try to prove me wrong, you disappear. And then when you're posting the sources, and I counteract them, you say, you see, I posted sources, and you're still not happy because your sources are bullshit. YouTube isn't a source. YouTube is not a source. And then you're posting right-wing websites to prove that point. Anybody can go on YouTube and make a video and say whatever they want. And yes, even on Twitter, there's context to back that there's contexts. On Twitter, when someone's wrong, it's taken out of context, and the community puts a note saying this is wrong. But YouTube is not a source. I can go on YouTube and say whatever I want. Does it make it true? No. Is my opinion? Yeah. Am I right? Could be. Am I wrong? It could be. But it's my opinion. If you're going to complain about what I say, be prepared to fight and back it up. But if your response to me is you're a retard or go join the war in Iran, well, you're just childish. You're just an adult being a child because you don't like what I'm saying because I'm speaking out against Donald Trump because I'm speaking facts and you don't want to hear the truth. So you're telling me, oh, you're a retard or you should go join Iran or go join Ilhan Omar. Do you think she divorced her brother? The hell do I care if she divorced her brother or not? What do I care if she married her brother? What she done? We don't know the reason why she. First of all, has that ever been proven that she married her brother? Has that ever been proven? And if it is true, not saying it is or it isn't, but if it's true, what's the reason? We don't know the reason. And if Donald Trump's not a racist, then why are you speaking about? Why are you talking about countries and calling them shitholes? That's offensive and that's insulting. Maybe America's a shithole. How? Because I guarantee you, if somebody spoke to America and said, America's a country of shithole, that's a shithole country, you don't think Donald Trump's going to retaliate and say, fuck you? But hey, you said it to us, unfolked. You're going to Ohio and telling, and making up some story about Haitians eating cats and dogs. And by the way, that's China, that's China, not and Taiwan, not Haitians. People do eat cats and dogs, but not Haiti. It's more in Asian countries, but that's neither here nor there. And then you have people like Eric Trump, saying President Donald Trump says Elon Musk is truly a genius. He is a very good person. No, no, no. And another actor has been Kevin Sorbo, who writes, "Suddenly the entire world knows that the U.S. military is no longer run by men in dresses." I don't even know what the fuck that means. When did the military be run by dresses? Because women were running the military? Because women had high positions? Well, that's kind of being a misogynist, isn't it? That's a misogynist. Because you're saying women don't know. Because what you're saying is women are stupid, and their place is in the kitchen. And by the way, the women in the military weren't wearing dresses either. They were wearing pants, literally, not figuratively. And what you're basically saying is men should be running the world and not women. But that's very now unless he's unless he's figuratively saying that Biden didn't know what the hell he was doing. You're right on that. But Biden wasn't running the military. You had generals running the military, decorated generals, generals that swore an oath to the Constitution. I would tell the President of the United States, I am not going to follow your orders, sir. It is illegal. It is unethical, and I swore an oath to the Constitution, not to you. Same thing with the Pentagon, the Department of Defense. If you take an order that's illegal, you can be court-martialed. Any senator who does not vote for the SAFE Act must be voted out. But again, this is all of these people, MAGA voice, all of these people. How is this manipulation and brainwashing? Like, this is why we had Nazi Germany. This is why we had Nazi Germany. This is why the Third Reich fell. This is why we have dictators toppling people. Because it is people who are afraid to speak up, and so they believe the lies. And these are the lies that got 6 million Jews killed. And it wasn't just Jews, it was gypsies too. And Germans who got killed for hiding a Jew in their house. And another one. President Trump demands political prisoner Tina Peters be freed immediately. Who writes, the corrupt Democratic governor Gerard Paulus must release her. She's being held captive while sick from merely exposing election fraud. Well, first off, Donald Trump has no authority here because she was charged by the state and she committed a state crime, not a federal crime, and you cannot be pardoned by this for state crimes. You can only be pardoned on federal crime. That's number one. And number two, there was no election fraud for the 57th billionth time. There is no election fraud, and you can try to find any fucking evidence you want. And I'm liking the new MAGA report saying, well, if there's no election fraud, then why did Donald Trump seize the ballots in Georgia? Because the madman is delusional. And he's a sore loser and can't take no for an answer. And he took those ballots, but it's a state law, federal, but it's inviolate, but he broke federal law, state law, and privacy laws. And he's not going to change the outcome 6 years later. And why is he still fucking on this 6 years later? It's not going to change anything. He lost fair and square. What are you going to do? Change the results to say, I won the presidency? And arrest Joe Biden because he was illegally the president? And now you have Pam Bondi, who's suing the state of Wyoming, who's suing 29 other states because they refuse to give their voter rolls to the United States government. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. Number one, the Department of Justice is not supposed to be working. It's not supposed to be the President of the United States' personal lawyer. Number one. Number two, they're supposed to be working for the American people. Number two. Number three, states are not obligated to hand over voter rolls because they are in charge of them. The secretary. That's what the Secretary of State does. So they don't have to hand over the voter rolls. And the fact that Pam Bondi is suing to get them, she's a lawyer. She should know what the fucking laws are. How is it all of a sudden everybody, and you had all these people like Marco Rubio back in 2016, people like Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, who said Donald Trump is not fit to be president. He's not qualified. Ted Cruz said the same thing. They're not qualified. And now now they kiss his ring like he's a king. Imagine that. That all these years ago they were speaking out against Donald Trump. And now they can't stop praising him. Imagine that. And again, she didn't expose election fraud. She tried to commit fraud. Tina Peters. She tried to commit fraud. Again, here's another one. President Trump to sign an executive order limiting mail-in ballots and voting machines before the 2026 midterm elections. Great. You can sign whatever fucking papers you want. You have no authority to do that. And there is no proof that mail-in balloting is illegal. There's just no evidence. And he keeps bitching about election fraud. And all these MAGA people keep going along with this election fraud nonsense. But nobody can find any proof to it. And they've tried in the courts. They tried in the courts and happened the same thing with Al Gore with Florida. And they went to court. And they found discrepancies there, but there was no fraud. When you're going to court, Giuliani, Sidney Powell, they all went to court to fight this and say, look, we have fraud, but they couldn't provide any evidence to any of the judges. And if they couldn't do it, then where's the evidence 6 years later? And why are we still on this? Anybody who loses an election will concede like a man, like an adult, because that's the right thing to do. Kamala Harris lost. She conceded and congratulated Donald Trump because that's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Donald Trump never conceded. When President Biden won, Donald Trump never conceded the election. He never called Joe Biden to congratulate him. Never. Ever. Do you really think Donald Trump is going to give up the presidency so easily in 28 and 29? No, he's not. And people are worried about that. And I know I spoke about Iran earlier, but I wanted to say that this is about MAGA. And why they attack you. And by the way, calling somebody a retard because you don't agree with what they're saying is kind of offensive because no one is a retard. It's called ably challenged or a special needs person. So calling somebody a retard is offensive. And on my wall right now, I have 3 people calling me a retard because I posted something about Donald Trump that they didn't like. So the response was, why are you commenting on a retard's post? And I didn't let it get to me. I don't think it's me. And the sad part is I actually know the person. I've met the person. I know them. And so call me a retard. But if you're going to attack me because you don't agree with what I'm saying, then be an adult and tell me why do you disagree with me? Why is what I'm saying upsetting you? Give me a counteractive. And before Trump, we had these conversations. People would debate, oh, you don't like so and so? Tell me why. We can agree to disagree, but tell me why you don't like the person. We have never called people name callings. What adult is calling another person a retard because you're saying something true about Trump that you don't like? We're adults. Why are we childish and resorting to name calling? This is who we are now. We're adults and we're calling people up. We're attacking people like immature children. Oh, you're speaking bad about Trump. Fuck you. You're a retard. Let's not give the retards for. Oh, you have Trump deranged syndrome. Well, let me ask you, what the fuck is there with Trump deranged syndrome anyway? To me, TDS means the Daily Show on Comedy Central. So what the fuck is Trump deranged syndrome? When in doubt, oh, he has Trump deranged syndrome. Okay, what about everybody who hated Biden and called Biden Brandon? And they're all chanting, fuck Joe Biden, fuck Joe Biden. That was okay? That was okay to call Joe Biden Brandon, a name that's not even his? And then saying, fuck Joe Biden. And then when I say, have respect for Joe Biden, he's a president, people say, oh, why do you respect Donald Trump? It doesn't matter. I wouldn't publicly go in the street and say, fuck Donald Trump. It's one thing if I say it privately or in a social gathering, but I'm not going to go to a sports game and go in the stands and go, fuck Donald Trump, fuck DT. I'm not going to do that because I'm not immature. Do I like him as do I like him as a president? Absolutely not. Do I like him as a person? No. Do I think he's a horrible human being? Yes. Do I think he deserves to go to jail for his crimes? Absolutely. Is he going to die without ever serving time? 100%. Do I have to respect him because he's the president? No, I don't. Because respect has to be earned. Did I like everything that Joe Biden did? No, I didn't. I've read criticism of Joe Biden, but I'm not going to scream, fuck Joe Biden. I'm not going to say, fuck Donald Trump publicly. And look, I just got this on my thing. Where Trump is, where Lindsey Graham goes on Fox and says, the next country that Donald Trump should target is Cuba. After Iran is done, let's go to Cuba. What are we, a war country? Are we a country now that's just going into other countries and attacking them to get what we want because we don't like what they're doing? When did we decide this? Lindsey Graham is going on public television, is going on national television on Fox and saying, Trump, when you're done with Iran, go into Cuba. That we pay for. The South Carolina senator praised Trump for finishing the job of former President Ronald Reagan, pointing to the now removed Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro as evidence of Trump's successful foreign policy. I'm a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump is the gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump's got him in jail, Graham said. Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. Graham continued, the Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead. Meanwhile, tensions between the U.S. and Cuba have escalated over the past 2 months, especially following the capture of Maduro, causing an abrupt end to Venezuela's vital fuel shipments to the communist-run island. Last month, the Cuban government warned its allies that it could not guarantee it would not be able to refuel their planes, prompting flights from Canada and Russia to halt flights to the island. Without flights to and from the island, Cuba loses tourism, which is one of its few sources of foreign currency. One day before the U.S. and Israel jointly began airstrikes on Iran, Trump said the U.S. was in talks with Havana and raised the possibility of a friendly takeover of Cuba, which is in quotes. There is no such thing as a friendly takeover. A takeover is a takeover. And I don't believe that they're actually talking. Because whatever Trump says, believe the opposite. When Trump said the Ayatollah was killed in airstrikes, I said, if it's coming from Trump's mouth, I don't believe it until I hear from credible, reputable sources. And lo and behold, an hour later, several media outlets reported that yes, indeed, the Ayatollah had been killed in an airstrike. And then Iran made it official. So I do not believe a word that Trump says. I believe the opposite. So when he said it, I'm like, nope. Trump says a lot of things, but nope. Till I hear it officially from credible sources. But look, the president didn't provide any other details about what he meant by a friendly takeover because it is not a thing. There's no such thing as a friendly takeover unless it's agreed to in a contract or a handshake or whatever it is. And last month, Trump told reporters in Mar-a-Lago that Cuba was a failing nation, but I was talking to the people from Cuba. I think we're going to make a deal with Cuba. Cuba's president responded by saying that Cuba was willing to engage in dialogue with the United States, a dialogue on any topic, but without pressure or preconditions. It was not immediately clear if the U.S. and Cuba were indeed in talks. However, unconfirmed reports from last month stated that talks may be in progress in Mexico. So I'm more inclined to believe Cuba than our own country. And how sad is that we no longer trust in our government? How sad is that we now have to get our news from foreign nations to know what's going on? And by the way, Cuba has a rich history. Communism or not, Cuba, one day I'd love to visit Cuba. Cuba is a rich history. And a lot of baseball players are Cuban, Dominican. And I made it, and a post I made a while back, on a podcast I made a while back, identity is important. And Mark Rubio is Cuban. His parents were from Cuba. And so he should know firsthand what Cuba's like. Now, I'm not saying that he's ever been to Cuba, Mark Rubio. I'm just saying that he has Cuban heritage. And so he should know about his country's history, his country's legacy, his country's origins. And if he was any smart and if he had any brains, he would tell Donald Trump, excuse me, sir, this is close home for me. I don't think you're making a good decision here with Cuba. I don't think I should be involved in these decisions because I'm too close to it. I'm too involved. I'm going to recuse myself. Which is the right thing to do, but whatever. So are we just going to go and attack countries that we don't like? Or that what we want? Like with Greenland? Because when Trump said he was sending a hospital ship to Greenland because the people there requested it and they needed it, well, that was another made-up bullshit story. Because number one, when the military heard that, they're like, hospital ships? They're not even in service. One of them's not even in the water because they're a dry dock being repaired, being refurbished. So I don't know where he's talking about a hospital ship on the way to Greenland. Because who else would know that but the military? And why would Greenlanders want our help? They have free health care. They have free health care. Why would they need our help? And if they didn't want to become part of the United States because they liked our autonomy, then why would they even go to the United States and say, hey, we need help medically? When they have free healthcare, just like Canada. And why would they need help anyway? Are they in trouble? Are they at war with someone? So, and everybody believes what this motherfucker says. Everybody believes what this motherfucker con artist always says. And then and then people say, it's not true. There's no hospital ship going into Greenland. They're not even in the water. They're being refurbished. They've been being refurbished for the last couple of years. How are we sending a ship that's not even in the water? It's in dry dock. It's a no shape to be. And then telling the people we're attacking Iran because of their nuclear program and it's a threat. But there was no evidence. But you said months ago, and that comes back to what I'm saying, and I'm going to end it here. This comes back to what I said earlier. If you destroyed it months ago, as you claim, then what's the problem? What's the problem? Mm. So you can't have it both ways, you see. You can't tell the and all these MAGA people are so stupid that they believe these lies, that they forget everything that Donald Trump said. And these are the same yo-yos that said, don't vote for Mamdani. Don't vote for Mamdani. Well, fuck you. We told you don't vote for Trump, and you did it anyway. So why should we listen to you when you didn't listen to us? How do you have credibility on here? What do you have credibility on? And the only reason why you hate Mamdani is because you're in a cult run by a leader who's a racist and a bigot. So why am I listening to you? You're telling me don't vote for Mamdani. Of course we don't want you to. Of course don't vote for Mamdani because Trump is saying don't vote for Mamdani. Trump didn't want Mamdani. And that's what you're saying. Don't vote for Mamdani. But you couldn't give me an answer. All you're saying was he's going to destroy New York, but couldn't give me reasons as to why he was going to destroy New York. I said he can't be any worse than Adams or De Blasio, right? He can't be any worse than that. So if you're going to tell me don't vote for somebody, give me a valid reason. Don't say, oh, because they're going to destroy New York. That's not a reason. Okay, how is he going to destroy New York? What's he going to do? He's a socialist. And Trump's not destroying this country? Trump's not alienating us? How is Trump any different than Mamdani? Mamdani wasn't catering to me. He was catering to the college people, the first-time voters, the young 20s and 30s. He wasn't catering. I wasn't his demographic. I'm 46 years old. He wasn't catering to me. I'm not his demographic. So even if I didn't vote for Mamdani, or even if I did vote for Mamdani, and I don't mean me as in me, I mean in general, it wouldn't make a difference because a lot of people who didn't vote last time voted for now. Mamdani is the youngest mayor of New York City ever. He's 33, 34. And so he was catering to his demographic because he knows what that demographic is and he knows what they want. So he understands them better. Okay? Now, do I think Mamdani is a bad mayor? No comment. Do I think he's an anti-Semite? I haven't seen any evidence that proves otherwise. I haven't seen any evidence that proves that he is an anti-Semite, but I haven't proved. But so I don't know, and the jury's still out on that. But Trump is a known racist. Trump's a known bigot. And when you're using the argument, well, Trump can't be a racist because his daughter's an Orthodox Jew. Yeah, Morris, but she converted to marry Jared. But Jared isn't as innocent as you think he is. Jared's father was in jail. Charles, his father was in jail. Just because you converted to Judaism doesn't make you a lover of Jews. It's like saying, your son just came out to me. It's like saying, our child just came out to us saying they are gay. And now we're going to disown that, but we still love our child. Or we're going to disown our child. I'm sorry, we're going to disown our child. But He's your child. She's your child. But they're gay now. So we don't like gays and lesbians. And it's immoral. So you're willing to alienate your child and disavow any knowledge of them because they decided to come out because this is who they feel they are? Can't have it both ways. You can't say he's for Jews because his daughter's. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. You could say she converts to Judaism, but we don't like Jews, and if you're going to become a Jew, if you're going to convert to Judaism, we want nothing to do with you. Okay? Happens the same way. And Israel has nothing to gain here by having. Okay, Israel is still recovering from October 7th. So now they're fighting two wars because they're still dealing with the aftermath of October 7th, and now they're going into Iran. So if anything, as a Jewish person, this hurts me the most because I have family in Israel and they're still recovering. Do you think I like to hear that my sister and my cousins have to go to a bomb shelter because the sirens are going off? And that at a moment's notice they have to drop whatever they're doing if they're having fun in the park or out at a movie and they have to drop everything and go to a bomb shelter because the siren's going off? And the same thing that was going on during October 7th. Do you really think I want to hear that? My friend just told me he was supposed to go to Israel yesterday to celebrate Purim. And now he's not going because of what happened in Israel, because of what's happening in Israel. Do you think he likes that? That he can't go see his grandkids and his daughter? Because of a war that they're still recovering from, that they're now fighting on two fronts? One in Gaza and one now in Iran? Because Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu coordinated in secret about going into Iran to attack them, unprovoked, by the way, which Israel doesn't do, and neither does America. None of them start wars unprovoked either. So Israel has it worse than we do in America because Israel is still recovering from October 7th. Okay? They're still recovering. And they may never recover. To be honest with you, Israel may never recover from October 7th. They may have learned the lessons, but they may never recover from that. And now, over the weekend, we heard that a family of 4 was killed in Israel because of the Iranian bombs. An innocent family who was celebrating the Sabbath, and they were killed by a bomb in their house. And you're telling me that this is okay? You're telling me that this is fucking okay? Because they were a threat? Oh, when you ask MAGA, why are they going into the war? It goes, because they're a threat. They can't even tell you why. Donald Trump couldn't even address the American people. And this is the same Republican Congress who were criticizing, who said Democrats should be punished because they didn't say an applaud when Donald Trump said at the State of the Union, America first, and they're more for the foreign people. Well, if you're putting America first, how come we're in the dark about this? If you're going to war with the country, okay, tell us why. Where's the threat? There was no imminent threat. Even the media is like, what the fuck just happened? Even the media is trying to make light of this. Where was the threat? Where was the immediate threat? Why are we going into Iran? Why are we going to Iran? And why are you dragging Israel into this? Israel doesn't just go into attack. Israel has very good intelligence. With the Mossad, with the IDF, they have intelligence. And they don't go into countries and start attacking them unprovoked unless they have a good reason to do so. So the fact that you're dragging another country into this makes it even 10 times worse. And as a Jewish person, one that has family, and so all these people who are praising Trump, and you can't tell them. And if you tell Trump, and you tell people, oh, when they ask you, what's wrong with Trump? I'm like, well, if you want to support a convicted felon, sex offender, rapist, pedophile, racist, grifter, con artist, scammer, the list goes on and on, that's on you. And they're like, oh, He's not. Like, he's not? Okay. I said, then I guess we two live in two different worlds here, because I saw a trial in New York City where he got convicted. Like, but he didn't go to jail. I said, he was convicted. Okay? He was convicted. Whether or not he has to go, whether or not he serves prison is irrelevant. He was convicted on 34 counts. Okay? You remember Jean E. Carroll? If he did nothing wrong, then why does he keep going to court to try to overturn that? And by the way, she still didn't get paid. All this time later, she still didn't get paid. So if he's innocent, why is he going to court to appeal it? You don't appeal something you're innocent on. If you win the case, why would you appeal it? So that you can lose? And if you're innocent on the Epstein files, then fucking release all the freaking papers. If you're innocent on the Epstein files, then tell Pam Bondi to release every fucking thing. And if you're innocent, let it show. Let the law show that you're innocent. Because if you're trying to cover it up, that just proves your guilt. That proves your guilt without a reasonable doubt. Otherwise, why hide it? Otherwise, why cover it up? And who else are you protecting on there? See, Hillary Clinton was smart. Hillary Clinton basically went to testify and basically threw everybody under the bus. Basically threw every single Republican under the bus and said, why are you calling me? I was just the Secretary of State. I had nothing to do with this. The people you want to question are Donald Trump. You want to question him. Why are you not questioning him? Why are you questioning me and my husband? I was Secretary of State. I didn't always know what my husband was doing. And she literally threw every single Republican under the bus. At that point, Republicans are like, okay, what are we supposed to do now? But she's not wrong. She's 100% correct. Why aren't you questioning Donald Trump under oath? Same thing when he was on his trial for his 34 counts. He wanted to testify, and Todd Blanche, the idiot lawyer, said, no, you're not going to testify. And even if he testifies, is he really telling the truth? Because Donald Trump is a pathological liar. So what's he doing anyway? But Hillary's right. Why are you questioning her? The answer's simple. They're trying to pin this on somebody. They're protecting Donald Trump. You have to ask yourself, why? Are there any members of Congress that are in the Epstein files and you don't want their name to get out? Which at this point I believe is true. Because any sane person, because if this was being won by the Democrats, you can bet your bottom dollar that Steve Bannon would have been questioned, Donald Trump would have been questioned, Pam Bondi would have been questioned, many other people would have been questioned. I can assure you that. So what are you trying to hide? And just now, as I'm recording this, I get breaking news that the House Oversight Committee released the depositions of Bill and Hillary Clinton. So eventually the truth will come out. And if you're going to release a deposition anyway, then what's the point of doing it behind closed doors? If you're going to release it anyway, then why didn't you want to do it in public? So at this point, this MAGA cult is just getting worse and worse by the day, and they will say whatever they want to say. It doesn't really matter. They don't believe in facts. They don't believe in facts. And according to them, if you post something they don't like that looks at their leader in a negative light, you are a retard. You have Trump deranged syndrome. You're a traitor, and you know nothing. Great. So I'm a traitor who's a retard who knows nothing, who has Trump deranged syndrome. And you know what? God bless you. If that makes you happy and sleep at night, then God bless you. Then I am proud to hold the title of being a Trump deranged, retarded person. Okay? If that makes you happy at night, if that makes you sleep at night, then God bless you. Then I am proud to hold the title of being a retarded person with Trump deranged syndrome. If that makes you happy, then God bless you all. But I will never stop telling you the truth. And if that alienates me from people I thought I knew, then so be it. If that makes you disappear from my wall on from my Facebook, God bless you. But don't try to tell me about Biden this and Obama that, because they aren't, because you're just deflecting. And that's getting old. Because Donald Trump is the president now. I don't care what happened 10 years ago. I don't know what happened 6 years ago. I don't care. I care what's going on now, today, present, in 2026, on this March 2nd. That's what I care about. Because what Donald Trump does now affects us later. Because whatever Biden did, Trump undid. And I'm always going to believe the opposite of whatever he says. So if that makes me a retarded person with Trump deranged syndrome, then I wear it with a badge of honor. I wear it with a badge of honor. Maybe not the retard part, but I wear it with a badge of honor. If I'm a person that has TDS, because I'm speaking the facts, then I wear it with a badge of honor. And if I'm going to be a retarded person with Trump deranged syndrome that doesn't exist, I wear that with a badge of honor. But I'll be a smart retard. I'll be a smart retard who actually knows history and who actually knows what the United States Constitution says. And I will never stop. And I will never stop in that. But yes, if that makes me a retarded person with Trump deranged syndrome, then so be it. I wear that with a badge of honor. And God bless you guys for being in the cult. God bless you all. But if that's what you're going to think of me because facts matter and you refuse to understand that, like Mark Twain said, if you're going to distort the facts, go right ahead, but understand the facts first. But if you're too stupid and too dumb and too brainwashed to understand the facts, and if you only believe what Donald Trump is telling you, or what the right-wingers are telling you, all these people who only came out of the woodworks when Trump came to power, that's your problem, not mine. But if you're going to attack me like a child and be immature and say you are a retard with Trump deranged syndrome, then so be it. So be it. I wear it with a badge of honor. And I don't care who knows it. And I have a smile on my face saying that. I wear it with pride. I wear it with a badge of honor. So do your worst. Do your worst. Because I'm ready for it. Because I will always have a comeback and I will always have the sources to back up what I say. And that's more than I can say for you MAGites who have absolutely no credibility whatsoever. So tell me, so saying I shouldn't vote for Mamdani or I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, you have absolutely no credibility until you can prove otherwise. Prove me wrong, and I'll give $1,000 to anybody who's able to do so. And I made that bet months ago, and I'm still waiting. Prove me wrong, $1,000, yours, no questions asked.